Okay, so when I hit play again, so I can see that there is a crosshair that's superimposed on the bigger one. So what I can do is I will go back to my dynamic crosshair and I have to play around with these values, as I said. So you have the spread, which is a float value, which is dynamically controlled. The thickness and length can also be dynamically controlled, but they normally start off as some default values of 4 and 8. So I'm going to change the thickness to 6 from 4, increase the thickness to 6 from 4, and increase the length to almost double it to 15, not 16. Okay, and now when I hit compile, I hit play, I can see now that I actually am able to see a much bigger crosshair, I guess. Okay, so now that we have this, the next thing we have to do is we have to go over to the player and look for the event tick. So this is what's we have the should regenerate and the branch and the sequence and everything, so it's neatly all coded out. So what we have to do here is we have to, every frame we have to look for the player velocity, and we have to accordingly change the thickness or the length of the crosshair, of this particular crosshair. Not the thickness or the length, but the spread, because that's how we're gonna actually have the crosshair to spread around, and that will create a dynamic crosshair for you. But also I'll bring the thickness down back to 4 because it was a little too high. So I'll compile that, I'll go back to player, and out here I'll bring in my dynamic crosshair reference, and out here I'll say set crosshair spread. Okay, and then connect that to then 1. Okay, and I'll just move this to the right a bit, and then out here for the crosshair spread, what I want to do is I'm already inside the player blueprint, which is of type character. So when you're in a character blueprint, you can always get the velocity like that, and this is a vector value, but what this one needs is a float value. So how we're going to get that is we're going to get the vector length. So there's a vector length, so if you just type vector length, and you have lerp, you have vector length, and we have vector length squared. You don't want vector length squared, you just want the vector length. So once you get that, I'll line these up and move them back a little bit further like this, and then I'll just say clamp. I'll say map range clamped. So once we get that now, and this is the one that's going to be processed completely. So I'll just move this down, and now all we need to do is add some values inside so that you can clamp it, and the spread can also be regulated. Okay, so let's play around with these values here. Now this is the in range A and B, and the out range A and B. I mean, that is what's going to come in and what's going to go out, and that's all going to be clamped. So this is the spread out here is 0. Now of course when you increase the spread, if I look into the code here, if I look at the crosshair spread, so this is actually doing all this, and it's talking about setting the position of the target, and which is going to be the left. So that would be this. Okay, that would be left, and you have the right and top and all of that. So it's actually going to use that to spread it out, and then it's also going to do the same thing for size and set it for the position, then again do it for the top. So you have 4 of these. So you have bottom, you have top, you have right, and you have left. And so on event tick, every single time there's a return value, it keeps on setting it every single frame. Okay, so we're going to take advantage of that. So down back in player, I will be using the range as 0. I don't want this to go any below 0. And the range B, I mean, these are just trial and error values, so you can use them and you can play around with them. So I'll just give you the initial values to play around with. So this will be 450, and this will be, and the outrange A will be 5, and outrange B will be 80. So of course you can keep on playing around with it. Now when I hit play and I'm moving around, and as I walk, you can see that this guy is actually spreading around. Of course I can go back to my player and look at my HUD. Maybe what I can do is I can go back to my HUD, go to the designer, and click on the crosshair. Maybe I can just get rid of this crosshair, or I can just hide this for now. You can say hidden. Okay, maybe I can come back and take it off later. So now I see this, and now I can still see that crosshair. That's because if I go over to my HUD, and this is visible. In fact, what I can do is I'll visit here and I'll get rid of this and compile that and come back to the designer. With the crosshair selected, I'll go over and select hidden. I should not be able to see that crosshair anymore. And let's see, play, and I'm still seeing it. That's because of dynamic crosshair and player. Is it because of the weapon base? No, that's gone too. Let's see. HUD, compile, save, and crosshair. Let me just get rid of this. Maybe I'll just get rid of this and compile that. Play. There you go. Okay, so actually got rid of that, even though it was still bound somehow, so I actually had to get rid of the binding. But I'm pretty happy with the way it is. If I'm sprinting, of course, the sprinting. If I'm walking slowly, if I'm walking, as I am walking faster, the spread is increasing. Now, of course, you can play around with it. Maybe you want a slower spread. So if I come down here, maybe the range need not be this big. So I can say 200. Okay, and if I say compile and play, and okay, that's a little too big, and maybe 30. I don't know. Alright, so now the spread is a little more regulated, and it's looking a little decent as well. Now it's totally up to you the way you want the spread to happen. Okay, and I'm actually happy with this. It's better than the one that I had before. 450 was a little too high, and also 30 was a little too high for the outrange speed. But anyways, so this thing works, and this is how you create a dynamic crosshair. So remember, if you want to get this crosshair downloaded, so all you have to do is go to Google, or I don't know, I'll also search in Bing. I'll just say, I don't know, dynamic crosshair UE4 Osman. That's Bing, and there it is. So you get this pretty much the same result in Google as well. So if I click on this, it opens up the forum post made by this guy called Osman, and he's actually a moderator. He used to be a newcomer, but he's quite good. Like, he's a moderator now. And when you click on this, obviously it's not going to work because the link is broken, and a bunch of people are also complaining that. And so you go to the second page, and some nice guy has uploaded it in a 75 zippyshare.com. He has shared it there, and it's a very small download. You click on that, and this is 0.01 MB download now. And make sure that you copy and paste it inside your Explorer, in your Project Explorer, or where your project path is. You copy and paste it inside that desired location inside the content folder, and only then will you be able to see it inside your project. Otherwise, because it's a UAsset file, you cannot directly go ahead and import it because it's not a raw asset. So that's about it for creating dynamic crosshairs. Now, of course, if you go around and Google for dynamic crosshair UE4, and you can see that there is a bunch of things available. Now, this is a more recent one. This is still a little more older, not this one, but there's another one. This is custom dynamic crosshair pack by some guy called, I don't know, this company, and it's $9.99. But I remember something like this available for free, which is a more recent one. I believe this is the one which is free. Yeah, it says we just released the first batch of our free dynamic crosshair pack 3. Of course, when you play this, and okay, I don't have Adobe Flash selected, but you get the point. Okay, and these are all the crosshairs that are available for you, and depending on the kind of game that you're working on, these things can also work for you. And best of all, this is free, and I just found that out. But we used something else, which is an older one. It still works, and I'm pretty sure that these things also work in the same way. They all have a spread, a thickness, and a length. All you have to do is play around with the spread values and the thickness and everything else, and you're good to go. Alright, so that's about dynamic crosshair, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.